Nope.
Hi, Anita.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. We are live streaming on YouTube.
Shut up.
Yeah.
That's fancy. That's fancy. Can anybody is anybody logged on already waiting? Can you see that?
I'm wondering if we're going to get repeat on here.
No telling.
No, I just set it up.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, speakers.
I'm afraid that might be a problem.
That YouTube might be a problem?
I think I better back out of it. Yeah. Oh, okay. So maybe it's still working. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm not hearing you. Oh, you're muted.
Anita?
Yep.
Okay. I was trying to put it so that I could just hear it in my headphones, but for some reason it's not picking my headphones up.
Well, I don't know for sure how live streaming it on Zoom. The reason I decided to do that is I found out that Zoom is now deleting our recordings.
Oh no.
After 60 days. So
Oh.
the ones that I posted on our website expired, and if you try to do them, there's nothing there. So I took them all down, and I had already put some up on our YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
But we thought today maybe the easiest thing would be to live stream it to YouTube.
Uh-huh.
So we don't have to mechanically move it there. So we'll see how it works.
We'll see how it works. Oh, wow. That's terrible because we've had some really good sessions, and for them to all just disappear like that.
Right.
No.
Well, they probably notified us that they were going to start deleting them, but I obviously didn't read it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand they probably have so many
the bandwidth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They've got to start getting rid of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense.
It does, but still. Oof.
Yeah. Anything to make our lives more complicated.
Right. Now this workshop, I want to say that Dahlia is carrying the bulk of it. So
okay.
I just updated all the PowerPoint slides and everything, and this is kind of her thing. So I will just kind of ride in the background a bit and, comment when necessary.
When it seems relevant.
Right? Yes. I try to when it's her turn, not to dip in. But
So
yeah.
I assumed that she wanted to, or you wanted to control the slides. I didn't.
Okay, yeah. Well, I just always give them to you because, you know, if something happens
Right.
and I go down, you have the slides, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or if anything happens,
And
everybody has
yeah.
them. Mm-hmm.
And then we also send them out the next day. So
Yeah. I always just convert them into a PowerPoint and then, I mean, into a PDF and then send them to you again, you know, the next day.
Well, that's what we do too, is send a PDF, but sometimes even a PDF is too large to send out.
Okay. Okay.
And I tried once setting up a drive with the slides with the PDF on it and giving people access to the slides, which is quite a bit of work actually. And I found that there were like 2 people
that even were bothering.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I said, to heck with it. I think most people prefer the recording because it has the slides and the narrative as well. Right. Hello, Miss Dahlia.
Howdy, how are you ladies?
Hey Dee, good. How are you?
I'm good.
That hurt.
So you are in control of the slides tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
You have the power.
And may the force be with you.
Okay. The force is definitely with me, considering this is the last one.
Baby.
In the world.
Yeah, and Anita, I hope that you have enjoyed them because you didn't go through them with us the first time.
Right.
So I hope that you know, can kind of see where we were going with everything and if it made sense. Okay, good.
I think so. And we should follow up with Catherine Kelly and let her know how it worked out. They were interested, you know, the national office was interested in how those sessions would go. And we've had a pretty good turnout.
Yes, we have each time.
Yeah.
Yes, and I know on the first night, I think there were a couple of folks on that were mentors.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that they got something out of it as well, and you know, are able to then use it with their clients. I don't know if you send out any kind of a survey or anything like that where we've been able to collect any feedback. I don't know if people actually complete them.
We always send out a survey the day after.
Okay.
We don't get great feedback. Mostly everybody's gives
over
us
it
and moved on to the next thing. And, so they're not as helpful as I would have hoped. I have sent out some surveys just independently to our database, asking them, you know, what type of different topics they might be interested in. You know, any feedback. And occasionally I do get some good comments.
Okay.
So, okay, well, whenever you're ready, I will start the webinar.
I am ready whenever you are.
Okay, well, do you want to put the slides up?
Oh, all the slides. Yay. Okay.
Yeah.
I had a slow moment there.
Because you have this few little score slides as well.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me share.
Okay, that looks good. All righty, I'm going to start the webinar and let people come in. Here we go.
This meeting is being recorded.
As I told Karen, we're live streaming on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I saw that when I joined. I was like, okay.
I'm pleased with that. I'm hoping it works out well.
Now, question, can you still see my full screen?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Good evening to those who are just joining. We'll wait a few more minutes to let more people come on, and then we'll get started.
And hello, everybody. I'm so glad to see our crew in the house for this last installment of our leadership soft skills series. But we will be back. We will be back in another few months. So look out for us with some new stuff. Okay, and as usual, Anita, if you can make it so that folks can unmute themselves throughout, that would be awesome.
Okay, we can do that. Okay, well, maybe I'll go ahead and get started with the score slides, and then we'll see where we are. So again, welcome all of you who have joined us. We're pleased that you came to the session and hope that you'll find it as enjoyable as the previous ones have been. Lots of good information. So I will just briefly go over SCORE again, since you've heard it before. Dolly, if you just give me the next slide. Again, our mission is to foster vibrant small business communities, and we do this through mentoring and education. So we are hoping that you, as a small business owner, get all of the support that you need to be successful. Next slide. Okay, so I'll just let you read that. We have over 10,000 volunteers across the country that we have access to. So if your business is unusual, we're likely to be able to find someone who is in the same business somewhere in the country. So next slide. Okay, we get people from all over. We're pleased that more than half of our entrepreneurs are women, and about 10% are veterans. So next slide. I think that's the last. Okay, so that's the last slide. I should just mention to you that the recorded webinars that we had on our website, many of them are no longer there because the recordings have expired. So we're transferring everything to our YouTube channel. And we will gradually be doing that over the next couple of weeks. So instead of going to our website for recorded webinars, you probably want to go to our YouTube channel. So now I'm going to turn this over to Dahlia and Karen, and they're going to talk about who's who in the workplace. So go.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming on tonight. Tonight, we are talking about who is in the workplace, understanding different generations. We're going to cover a few items. We're going to define what a generation is. We're going to identify who they are. We're going to dive into why it's even important for us to understand the generations in the workplace. We're going to really break down generational gaps. I'm sure that's a term that we've either used personally or that we've heard before. We're going to talk about how to bridge it, and then we will have some time at the end for questions. But first, to officially introduce myself, my name is Dahlia. For those of you that have been a part of this series, hello again. For those of you that are just joining us, I am an HR subject matter expert for SCORE. And actually, I was a mentee, and I am actually representing SCORE Houston today. I'm actually down here in Texas. So Karen, I'll pass the mic to you so you can introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you so much, Dahlia. This is Karen Cross-Hatton. For those of you that are returning, hello, welcome back. I'm so excited to have you for this last installment. For those of you that are new, welcome, and we hope to see you back with us. I too am a subject matter expert in human resources for SCORE, as well as a mentee. So I'm looking forward to walking through this session with you and hoping that you all will get something great from it.
Awesome. So let's dive in. So first and foremost, what is a generation? Now, I'm a person that loves definitions. So according to Oxford, a generation is all the people born or living about the same time, right? Super simple, really easy to understand. But what are the generations, right? So right now we have a total of 5 generations that are potentially in the workplace. So we have Gen Z, 97 to 2015. We have Generation Y, which is commonly known as the millennials. We have Gen X, we have our baby boomers, and we have our traditionalist. And what's interesting is the names of the generations really kind of give you some insight into who they are, which we're just going to dive into next. If my screen lets me move forward. There we go. So who are these generations? Let's break them down. So first and foremost, we have the traditionalists. Now, the traditionalists are technically considered our seniors, right? They're from 1922 to 1943, and they obviously have their own experience, right? They were raised with strict rules. They have very high expectations, very motivated by job titles and compensation. So, you know, president, director, manager, those actual titles are extremely important to this generation because it kind of defines where they have arrived to in the workplace. And they prefer very formal attitudes and structured work environments. And again, if you think about the time that they were born in, all of this really makes sense, right? Now, their worldview is obedience over individualism. Age equals seniority, and they like to advance through the hierarchy. So they really have a belief system of you can start, quote unquote, at the bottom and work your way up to the top, to the most senior position. And that is the type of climb that traditionally the traditionalists respect. So next on the list, we have our baby boomers, right? So the baby boomers are from 1947 to 1964. So interestingly enough, they're named after the post-World War II spike because of the birth rate. Birth rate really went up. And due to the large numbers, they've shaped the culture both philosophically and politically. They're loyal to their jobs to achieve success, right? So that's a key difference is their loyalty comes because of the expected growth that they're going to receive. And really good teachers for relationship building and communication. And obviously, like I said, if you really think about where they were in the time and why they're even called the baby boomers, communication was natural because it was just a lot of people around. So, and their worldview is achievement comes after paying one's dues, so sacrifice for success. So if you think again about where they're coming from as far as life-wise and mentality, they were kind of taught that you're supposed to climb the ladder. So they don't have a problem with paying one's dues, and they respect success after they've actually really, really put in the work. And now we have Generation X. So Generation X, again, is 1965 to 1980. Excuse me. Now, this is the MTV generation. So interestingly enough, they were actually named after a book written by Douglas Coupland. Again, they're the MTV generation, and they're also known kind of as the latchkey generation. These were the kids that, for the very first time, parents were really working a lot. And so they had the key around the neck, and they were getting themselves to school and getting themselves home from school by themselves. So obviously, if you're raised like that, you're naturally going to be a little bit more independent. They have more entrepreneurial spirits. And because of that, again, they value autonomy, results versus work hours, and efficiency. So their worldview is they favor diversity. They're quick to move if their employer fails to meet their needs. They're a little resistant to change at work if it affects their personal life. So again, if you think about how they were raised and the environment that they actually were raised in, some of this kind of makes sense and it kind of resonates. Like if I was independent, if I was doing my own thing, and I was the one who was responsible for it and just expected to achieve and be successful at it, then I expect for people that are also in my circle to be able to meet those needs and live up to that same standard. Now, next, we have Generation Y, or the millennials. So again, fun fact, named after a book titled Millennial Rising, and they're actually the oldest, became adults right around the millennium. They are the offspring of the baby boomers, and they're considered the most educated generation in the workplace. They value meaningful work and will definitely challenge the status quo, right? So their worldview is they seek challenge, they like growth and development. They believe that you can have fun at work, you can kind of be yourself. And again, they will leave an organization if they don't change. So once again, if you kind of see the pattern, like the millennials are coming from the baby boomers. So because of that, and if they are coming from a place of communication, you need to do your own thing and you need to be successful. They kind of bucked up against the system a little bit and was like, okay, that's great. We can have fun. I want to be successful, but I also want all of my needs met as well. And last, we have Gen Z, which is 97 to 2015. Now, fun fact, again, they're also known as iGen. So this is the first generation that grew up with a smartphone, right? So they're not named because society just kind of still feels like they're finding their identity. With the growing up with smartphones and the internet and so forth, you got to think about it. Everything over the internet is just really put out there. So they value authenticity and transparency, and they carry that over into the workplace. They like social awards. Okay. Now their worldview is they self-identify as the digital device addicts. Like these are the people that you never really see without their phone in their hand or their face being down. They like independence and individuality. Again, they prefer to work with millennial managers. So they prefer to work with managers that kind of have a little bit of the same feeling and understanding and vibe that they do. They're very innovative, and they like new technology. And again, if you think about where they've come from and the experience that they've had, a lot of this really starts to make sense. So why is it even important to know this? Okay. So first and foremost, it addresses the generational gap, which is the difference in behavior, outlook, and expectations between groups of people who were born at distinctly different times. It helps prevent misunderstanding, especially managerial roles, and it helps with communication, i.e. email versus texting. So if we just start with the fact that it addresses the generational gap, one thing, a lot of times the statement there's a generational gap can be used in a little bit of a negative tone, that there's something wrong because person A cannot understand person B or vice versa. And so this addresses that, because what you understand is there's not really a gap. There's just a difference in outlook. There's a difference in experiences. There's a difference in in education. There's just a difference. And so it takes away from, let me just focus on the fact that A does not understand B, but let's focus on what's happening with A, what is happening with B, because they're coming from two completely different places, right? Preventing misunderstandings, that kind of folds into that. If we're able to take out just the age and really look at the experience, we can now kind of understand, why is this person, if I roll into the very next bullet point, why is this person texting me all day long? Or why did you feel like it was appropriate to text your resume or text me to ask me about the status of a job? Well, if they're coming from a world and they were raised in a world where texting was the main source of communication, that's why. It's not that they're unprofessional. And just in vice versa, the person that prefers to email is more than likely coming from a place where email was the main source of communication, and they're comfortable with that. So it's not that something is wrong with them or they are not with the times. They're moving in a way that was instilled within them. So multi-generational workforce is a path to prosperity. Okay. So work teams that comprise multiple generations perform better than those that do not, right? You're in a situation where you have multiple points of view and you're able to gather those things together to create what it is that you need, okay? An age diverse workforce gives companies more insight into the marketplace. If you're really looking to understand your customer, who's better to help you understand your customer than someone that is just like your customer? And if you have a diverse group in front of you, you're able to approach almost any type of customer because you'll have someone there that is probably able to relate to them on some way, shape, or form. Now, the multi-generational workforce yields a stronger pipeline of talent. People are able to come into your organization and see someone that either looks like them or talks like them or can resonate with the language that they use. And that's important to allow someone to feel at, quote unquote, at home at their job. The pipeline improves the workforce stability as well as retention of intellectual capital. So again, going back to the previous statement, where if you have people in your workforce that are extremely diverse, all of those thought processes, all of those mental juices are right there. And you will naturally attract other people that are able to think in that type of environment and are willing to share who they are and what they do and why they believe that and why they think, how they think your product or your business can be improved. And a multi-generational workplace does something, I don't know what that boosts the bottom line, boost the bottom line of many organizations based on greater engagement and performance, which is exactly what I just kind of rounded out. So here's a few facts to know. People ages 55 to 64 actually represent 64% of the labor market amongst the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. So if you think about who's in your workforce right now, it's saying that essentially 55 to 64 is over half. Over half the people that are still in the workforce right now fall within that range. However, in just 8 years, millennials will start to turn 50, which in some way, shape, or form is a little crazy to think about, especially when we've talked about millennials and who they are, some of the things that they've done that maybe we didn't understand, that they are now approaching their quote unquote, what we may consider to be their senior years, their midlife within the next, I said 7 to 8 years. So before I move forward to talk about the generational gap, I just wanted to pause right here and see if, Karen, you had anything to add, if anybody had any questions. Unfortunately, I can't see the chat or anything right now just because of the screen, but I just wanted to pause right here and not move forward yet.
Well, thank you. No, I don't really have anything to add. I think you did a great job of covering, and giving a good understanding of those traits and things that were associated with each generation. I don't see anything in the chat right now. However, yeah, I would like to go ahead and open it up to anyone that may have some thoughts. If you had an aha moment at any point while Dahlia was speaking, or if you had some questions about generations in the workplace. You can unmute yourself or drop it in the chat. Okay, looks like we can keep going.
Okay, awesome. So the generational gap, and I just wanted to go to this cartoon because this is a perfect example of what we consider to be the generational gap. You got the teacher asking that general question. You come back to your school your first day, and what did I do on my summer vacation? Now, all depending on where you fall right now or your age on this particular call kind of determined how you answer that question. I know in my day, it was, like a show and tell, like you brought something to school that showed what you did on your summer vacation. And we all had to go up and kind of do this show and tell about summer vacation. Well, this comic is kind of showing that has changed. Like we document what we do, our vacations, everything on our Facebook page. Most people aren't printing out pictures anymore and aren't really doing that experience, or that posting is your memoir from your vacation or so forth. So I just thought that was cute. So let's move to the behavior gap. And I want to apologize. And so for some reason, it seems like when the slides were uploaded, that it seems to have adjusted the, what's the word I'm looking for? The font and things have been moved. So please know that when this is sent out, that will be adjusted and corrected. So I just wanted to apologize for how some of these look, because I don't know what happened. So first we're going to just talk about the behavior gap. And so behavior gap is essentially the way in which one acts or conducts oneself, especially towards others, okay? And in this example, I thought it was important because one of the things that is very different when we were first talking about the difference in generations is the communication, right? Communication is often one of the big things that comes up when we talk about the quote unquote behavior gap. And so a younger person coming from a world that is more transparent, that is putting things out there, it is more acceptable for them, and they are more likely to speak up out or against any idea that is presented to them. They don't feel like they have that restraint. That is not the world that they are actually coming from. However, in turn, an older individual, is more likely to take into consideration their role and position within a company prior to speaking up, out, or against an idea. So, we're sitting in a meeting and one person may be wondering, well, I'm just making up a name, why does Charles not speak up? In some way, shape, or form, sometimes people can mistakenly define that as, oh, Charles is not engaged, or, Charles is not committed. When maybe the truth is Charles feels that based on his particular title, this is not his space to speak up in. But also in reverse, Molly will speak up in a moment. And that can be considered as defiance or disrespect when she actually is coming from a place and from a world where her expectation is that you want my opinion. It doesn't matter my title. I have something that I feel is important to say. And so therefore, I'm going to share that with you. As far as the outlook. So the outlook is a person's point of view or just general attitude towards life, okay? So millennials, as it says, do not put the workplace on a pedestal, right? They feel like whoever I am at home, whoever I am on the weekend, I should still be able to be that person at work. That does not have anything to do with my intelligence or my abilities in this workplace, right? Where Generation X, for instance, is extremely focused on how their education would reserve them a spot at the coveted work spot, right? So I've gone to school, I have a master's, so therefore that means I should be placed at this particular level within this organization. Whereas a millennial may think, difference does it matter if I actually went to school or if I even have these degrees? I have the ability to do the job. I have the intelligence to do the job. That is what we should be focusing on. So again, there's a difference in expectation. And so again, sometimes that difference can be misconstrued. One person can say, well, they're proud, or maybe they think more highly of themselves than they ought, when from the millennial perspective, I decide to leave, then I'm a